Listen to me very carefully. If you are over 60 years old, there is something happening around you right now that you cannot see. The people closest to you, your family, your lifelong friends, the ones who sit at your table and eat your food, some of them are already calculating what you have. They are already measuring your savings. They are already thinking about what they will get when you are too old or too tired to fight back. And the worst part is not that they are doing it. The worst part is that you are the one who gave them the information they needed to do it. You opened your mouth, you told them what you have, you showed them your cards, and now you are sitting there, wondering why the people you love the most are the ones hurting you the deepest. I know this is hard to hear, but I am not here to make you comfortable. I am here to protect you. My name is Rabbi Yosef. I have spent over 50 years studying the ancient writings, the Torah, the Talmud, the Proverbs of Solomon, the Psalms of David. I have counseled thousands of people across 4 continents, widows, businessmen, retired teachers, laborers, grandparents who gave everything and were left with nothing. And in all my years, in all my study, I have found one truth that never changes. The people who suffer the most after 60 are not the ones who lack money. They are the ones who lack discipline over their own tongue. And if this channel has never appeared in your life before, understand this. It appeared now for a reason. If what I'm telling you already hit something inside your chest, then do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel right now. Press that button. Activate the notifications. Because what I am about to share with you over the next minutes is not entertainment. It is not motivation. It is a code of survival that comes from 3,000 years of Jewish wisdom. And if you miss it, you will not find it in any self-help book or any weekend seminar. Subscribe now and let us begin. I want to tell you about a woman named Gloria. Gloria was 64 years old. She lived in Medellin, Colombia. For 38 years, she worked at a textile factory. Cutting, sewing, pressing, packing. Her hands were rough. Her back was bent. But she was proud because she had saved. Little by little, month by month, for almost 4 decades, Gloria had built a small savings of 42 million Colombian pesos. That was her fortress. That was her dignity. That was the proof that her suffering had meaning. And one evening, her younger brother, Adrian, came to visit. He brought her flowers. He brought a bottle of wine. He sat at her kitchen table and said, "Gloria, I worry about you. You live alone. You work so hard. Tell me, sister, are you okay? Do you have enough?" And Gloria, because she trusted him, because he was blood, because she believed that family is the one place where your secrets are safe, Gloria told him everything. The amount, the bank, the plan. She had to buy a small apartment near the coast for her retirement. 3 weeks later, Adrian came back. But this time he did not bring flowers. He brought a business proposal. A cousin had a guaranteed investment opportunity. He needed capital. Adrian pushed. He insisted. He used the exact numbers Gloria had shared. He knew the amount. He knew the timeline. He knew the dream. And because he knew all of this, he knew exactly how to pressure her. Gloria gave him 28 million pesos. Every cent of it disappeared. The investment was a fraud. Adrian never paid her back. When she confronted him, he said, and these were his exact words, "You should have been smarter with your money. I did not force you to give it." That sentence destroyed Gloria more than the money, because it revealed something terrifying. The person who asked her to trust him was the same person who blamed her for trusting him. Now listen to me. What happened to Gloria is not an accident. It is not bad luck. It is a pattern as old as the scriptures themselves. And if this story touched something inside your chest, if you saw yourself or someone you love in Gloria's pain, then I need you to do something for me right now. Give this video a like and subscribe to this channel with the notification bell activated. Not for me, but so this message can reach more souls who are searching for protection and do not know where to find it. Every like, every subscription pushes this teaching further into the hands of someone who needs it tonight. And then I want you to do something sacred. In the comments below, write this verse from Psalms chapter 141 verse 3. Write it exactly as I say it. "Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips." Let me say it again so you can carry it in your heart. Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Write that verse in the comments right now. When you write the word of God with your own hands, It becomes a seal upon your spirit. It is not a comment, it is a declaration. And I will tell you this. I am going to personally respond to the first 100 people who write that verse with a specific blessing for their emotional protection, but only within the next 48 hours. After that, I cannot promise I will be able to reach everyone. So write it now. Do not wait. The blessing is waiting for you. Now, why am I telling you Gloria's story? Because Gloria's mistake was not generosity. Gloria's mistake was not love. Gloria's mistake was that she violated one of the oldest spiritual laws in the Hebrew tradition. It is called Shmirat Halashon, the guarding of the tongue. This is not a suggestion. This is not advice. This is a law written in the sacred texts with the same weight as the commandments about theft and falsehood. The book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 19, says it plainly. When there are many words, transgression is unavoidable. But the one who restrains the tongue is wise. Restrains. Not considers. Not thinks about. Restrains. Like a gate that must be locked. Like a door that must be bolted. The tongue, after 60, is not just a muscle in your mouth. It is a gate. And whatever passes through that gate has consequences that you cannot take back. Every word you speak about your money, your plans, your health, your decisions, every single word becomes a piece of ammunition in someone else's hands. And you do not get to choose how they use it. This is what I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to show you the 7 types of people you must never share your personal information with after the age of 60. 7. Not 3, not 4. 7. Each one has a different face. Each one uses a different strategy. But all 7 operate on the same principle. They take what you say, and they use it against you. Some use it to steal. Some use it to manipulate. Some use it to control. And the 7th one, the most dangerous of all, is not someone outside of you. But before I reveal that, I need you to understand the spiritual weight of what we are dealing with. In the Talmud, in Tractate Arachin, the sages teach that the damage caused by careless speech is worse than the damage caused by a sword. A sword can wound the body, but words can destroy a reputation, a family, a fortune, and a soul. And after 60, your words carry even more weight. Why? Because after 60, you have lived long enough to accumulate authority. People listen to you differently. Your words about yourself become facts in other people's minds. When you say, I have savings, it is not a confession, it is a map. When you say, I plan to sell my house, it is not conversation, it is an invitation. When you say, I feel lonely, it is not vulnerability, it is a signal to predators that you are unprotected. King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, said in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 3, the one who guards, his mouth preserves his life. The one who opens wide his lips brings ruin upon himself. Read that again, preserves his life. This is not about being rude. This is not about being cold. This is about survival, spiritual survival, financial survival, emotional survival. And I want you to hear me on this. The problem is not that bad people exist. The problem is that you have been handing them the weapons. You have been opening the armory of your life and saying, here, take whatever you need. And then you cry when they use it. That stops today, right now. If you stay with me through this entire teaching, I'm going to give you something that will change the way you move through the rest of your life. I'm going to give you the 7 gates of Shmirat Halashon, a daily discipline rooted in 3,000 years of Jewish ethical practice that will teach you exactly how to seal your mouth, protect your mind, and guard your future. It is not complicated. A child could follow it, but it demands something from you that most people are not willing to give. The discipline to be silent when every part of you wants to speak. Let us begin with the first type of person. The first type is the sympathetic relative. This is the brother, the sister, the cousin, the nephew who comes to you with warmth. They ask about your health. They ask about your finances. They seem concerned. They seem loving. But their questions are not born from love. They are born from calculation. They are mapping your territory. They want to know what you have, where it is, and how to access it. Gloria's brother Adrian was this type. He did not come to rob her. He came to measure her. And once he had the measurements, the robbery became easy. The Talmud warns us, do not trust in yourself until the day of your death. If you cannot fully trust yourself, How can you fully trust someone else simply because they share your blood? Blood is biology. It is not a guarantee of loyalty. It is not a covenant of protection. Only God's law is a covenant, and God's law says guard your tongue. The practical discipline for this type is absolute. When a relative asks about your money, your answer is, God provides and I am grateful. That is it. You do not give numbers. You do not give timelines. You do not give details. You give God the credit and you close the gate. If they insist, you change the subject. If they push harder, you leave the room. You do not owe anyone an inventory of your life simply because they share your last name. The second type of person is the old friend who reappears. Listen to me carefully because this one is subtle. This is someone you knew 20, 30 years ago. Maybe you grew up together. Maybe you worked together. Maybe you lost touch and suddenly, they find you again. They call you. They send you a message. They say, I was thinking about you. How have you been? It has been so long. And your heart melts, because after 60, loneliness is real. The phone does not ring the way it used to. The invitations dry up. The world moves fast and you feel left behind. So when an old friend reappears, it feels like a gift. It feels like God sent them back into your life. But ask yourself this question, and be honest. Why now? Why after 20 years of silence do they suddenly care? What changed? I will tell you what changed. You retired, you sold your business, you received an inheritance, you posted something on social media about your grandchild's birthday party in your renovated house. Something shifted in your visible circumstances, and that shift sent a signal. And that old friend did not come back because they missed you. They came back because they smelled opportunity. Let me tell you about a man named Francisco. Francisco was 67 years old, a retired mechanic from Arequipa, Peru. He had worked 41 years repairing trucks. His hands were scarred from wrenches and burns. When he retired, he received a liquidation payment of 93,000 sols, more money than he had ever held in his life. He did not tell many people, but he told one, an old friend from his army days named Paul, who had called him out of nowhere 2 weeks after his retirement. Francisco was so happy to hear from Paul. They talked for 2 hours. They laughed about the old days, and somewhere in that warmth, somewhere in that feeling of being young again, Francisco mentioned the money. He did not mean to. It just came out. Because when you feel safe, your tongue loosens. That is the trap. Paul visited him the following month. They ate together. They drank together. And on the third visit, Paul said he had a brother-in-law who was selling a piece of agricultural land at half price, a guaranteed return. Francisco could double his money in one harvest season. Francisco invested 60,000 sols. The land existed, but it was worthless. Rocky, dry, no irrigation. When Francisco went to see it, he stood in the middle of a dead field and wept. He called Paul. Paul did not answer. He called again. Nothing. He went to Paul's house. The neighbors said he had moved to Lima. No forwarding address. 60,000 sols gone, and with them the friendship, the memories, and the trust. When Francisco told me this story, he said something I have never forgotten. He said, Rabbi, I did not lose money. I lost the last friend I thought I had, and that is worse. The Psalms, chapter 41, verse 9, describe this with terrifying precision. Even my close friend in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted his heel against me. David wrote those words 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years, and the pattern has not changed. Because human nature does not change. Only your awareness can change. Only your discipline can change. The discipline for the old friend who reappears is this. You may welcome them. You may eat with them. You may laugh with them. But you do not update them on your finances, your property, your health conditions, or your family conflicts. If they ask directly, you say, everything is in God's hands, my friend, and you smile, and you change the subject. The friendship may be real, but the information is sacred. Do not confuse fellowship with access. The third type is the helpful neighbor. This one operates with small favors. They bring you food. They mow your lawn. They offer to drive you to the doctor. They are always there, always available, always generous. And because of that generosity, you feel obligated. You feel you owe them something. And what you end up giving them is not food or favors. It is information. There was a woman named Beatriz in San Jose, Costa Rica. 71 years old, a retired schoolteacher. She lived alone after her husband died. Her neighbor, a woman named Lorena, began helping her with groceries, with the garden, with small repairs. Beatrice was grateful. She started confiding in Lorena. She told her about the life insurance payment she received after her husband's death, 18 million colones. She told her about her plan to put the money in a fixed-term deposit. Within 3 months, Lorena had introduced Beatrice to her son, who ran a financial consulting service. The son convinced Beatrice to invest 12 million colones in a private fund. There were no papers, no legal contract, just a handshake and Lorena's reassuring words, "My son is honest. I would never let anything happen to you." The money disappeared in 6 months. When Beatrice asked for it back, Lorena's son said, "Investments carry risk. You knew that." And Lorena, the kind neighbor, the helpful friend, stopped coming. No more groceries, no more garden, no more rides to the doctor. The kindness was a strategy, the favors were a currency, and Beatrice had paid the highest possible price. The book of Proverbs, chapter 26, verse 24, says, "Whoever hates disguises himself with his lips and harbors deceit in his heart." Not every act of kindness is kindness. Some acts of kindness are reconnaissance missions. They are gathering intelligence. They are building a debt that you will pay with your secrets. The discipline here is hard but necessary. Accept help when you need it. Say thank you, but never let gratitude become a gateway to your private life. When someone helps you and then asks personal questions about your finances, your family disputes, your health decisions, recognize the pattern. Thank them again and close the gate. "God has blessed me with what I need. Thank you for your kindness." That is your answer, every time, without exception. The fourth type is the emotional child or grandchild, and this is the one that will cut the deepest, because this is your own blood, your own flesh, the child you raised, the grandchild you held in your arms. But hear me, love does not make someone safe. Love makes someone powerful, and power without discipline becomes manipulation. I knew a man named Augusto, 73 years old, a retired bus driver from Guayaquil, Ecuador, 44 years behind the wheel. He had saved carefully, modestly, and had $110,000 in a savings account. His youngest son, Renato, came to him at a family dinner. Renato was 38 and had a history of failed businesses. He said, "Papa, I have one more idea. This time it is different, but I need $40,000. You are the only person I can trust." Augusto did not want to say yes. His gut told him no, but Renato cried. Real tears. He said, "If my own father does not believe in me, then who will?" That sentence was not love. That was leverage. It used the most sacred bond, father and son, as a tool of extraction. Augusto gave the money. 8 months later, the business had collapsed. Renato could not pay back a single dollar. When Augusto asked, gently, carefully, with a trembling voice, Renato said, "You gave it to me because you are my father." Fathers do not charge their children. That sentence should make your blood run cold, because it reveals the inversion. The parent who sacrificed is now told that sacrifice is obligation, not generosity. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 3 says, "The prudent sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it." Hiding yourself does not mean hiding your love. It means hiding your information. You can love your children with everything you have, but you do not owe them a financial map of your life. You do not owe them the details of your bank account, your savings, your retirement plans, or your will. Those things are between you and God. And if your child cannot respect that boundary, then the problem is not your silence. The problem is their entitlement. The discipline is this. If your child or grandchild asks you for money, you say, "I need to pray about it. Give me 7 days." You never answer in the moment. You never respond when emotion is high. 7 days. Let the tears dry, let the urgency fade. And after 7 days, if the answer is no, you say, "I love you, but God has told me to protect what he has given me. This is not about you. This is about my obedience." That is not cruelty. That is covenant discipline. Now I need to tell you something before we continue. Make every effort to stay with me until the very end of this teaching, because at the end, I am going to tell you the story of a man named Ignacio, a retired electrician from Montevideo who applied every single principle I am teaching you today. He lost his sister's approval. He lost his son's affection. He lost his neighbor's company. But what he received in return was something he never expected, a provision that came through a door he did not even know existed. And the most miraculous part was not the money. It was how it arrived. Stay until the end. You need to hear what happened to Ignacio. The fifth type is the social media audience. And this one is invisible, which makes it the most deceptive. Every time you post a photograph of your new car, your renovated kitchen, your vacation, your grandchild's graduation party in an expensive restaurant, you are broadcasting your financial status to hundreds or thousands of eyes that you cannot see and do not know. You are making a public announcement that says, "I have resources," and you have no idea who is watching, who is saving that image, who is calculating. There was a man named Humberto, 66 years old, from Guadalajara, Mexico, a retired accountant. He sold a property he had inherited and received 3 million pesos. He was proud. For the first time in his life, he felt wealthy. So he posted a photograph on Facebook of himself holding a set of keys in front of the new apartment he had purchased. Below the photo he wrote, "God is good. Hard work pays off. New chapter begins." Within 2 weeks, 3 distant cousins he had not spoken to in years contacted him. One needed a loan for a medical emergency. One had a business opportunity. One simply said, "Congratulations, cousin. We should get together soon." Humberto, flattered by the attention, met with all 3. Over the course of 5 months, he lent a total of 800,000 pesos to people he barely knew, because they had seen his post, calculated his capacity, and approached him with surgical precision. He never recovered a single peso, not one. King Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 7, "There is a time to be silent and a time to speak." Social media has eliminated silence. It has turned every private moment into a public exhibition. And after 60, that exhibition is not innocent. It is dangerous. Because the audience is not just friends and family. The audience includes people who are measuring you. The discipline is radical and non-negotiable. After 60, you post nothing about your finances, your properties, your purchases, your travel plans, or your legal matters. Nothing. You want to share a photo of your grandchild? Share it. You want to share a sunset? Share it. But the moment you share anything that reveals your economic reality, you have opened a gate that you cannot close. The sixth type is the professional confidant. This is the lawyer, the accountant, the financial advisor, the insurance agent, the bank employee who says, "Tell me everything so I can help you," and they have a legitimate reason to ask. But legitimate access does not mean unconditional trust. There was a woman named Carmen, 69 years old, from Cordoba, Argentina, a retired nurse. She had accumulated 7 million pesos in savings and went to a financial advisor recommended by a friend. She gave him every detail: her income, her expenses, her savings, her debts, her plans. He designed a portfolio for her, but over 2 years, he slowly redirected portions of her investments into funds that paid him higher commissions while delivering her lower returns. She lost nearly 2 million pesos in value before she discovered what had happened. When she confronted him, he said, "Everything I did was within legal parameters. You signed the documents." And technically, he was right. She had signed because she trusted, because he was a professional, because she believed that a title and a clean office meant integrity. The Talmud in Pirkei Avot teaches, "Do not trust in yourself until the day of your death." If you cannot fully trust yourself, then how? Can you fully trust a stranger with a diploma? You can work with professionals, you must work with professionals, but you never give all your information to one person. You divide it, you keep records, you ask for everything in writing, and you never ever sign anything on the same day it is presented to you. Take it home, read it in silence, pray over it, then decide. Now we arrive at the seventh type, and I need you to sit down for this one, because the seventh person you must never share your personal information with. The most dangerous one of all is yourself. Not the yourself that is careful, not the yourself that prays. I am talking about the version of you that speaks from pride, the version that wants people to know how well you have done, the version that sits at a dinner table and cannot resist saying, "Well, I just paid off my house," or "My pension is actually quite comfortable," or "I helped my son buy his apartment." That version of you is not sharing. That version of you is performing, and that performance is the most expensive act of your life, Because when you speak from pride, you are not communicating, you are advertising. You are putting a sign on your chest that says, I have something worth taking. And the tragedy is that no one forced you to do it. No one tricked you, no one manipulated you. You did it to yourself, from yourself, because something inside you needed to be seen, needed to be validated, needed to be admired. The Talmud teaches in Tractate Sota, whoever runs after honor, honor flees from him. You want respect? The world will strip it from you the moment they see what you have. You want protection? Then close your mouth and let God be your witness. He does not need you to announce what he gave you. He gave it to you in silence. Keep it in silence. This is the hardest truth I will give you today. Your worst enemy after 60 is not your greedy nephew. It is not your manipulative neighbor. It is not the friend who disappeared. Your worst enemy is your own tongue when it is driven by the need to be recognized. And until you defeat that enemy, no amount of caution with others will save you, because you will always find a way to leak what should have been sealed. The psalmist David, who knew betrayal more intimately than most men who ever lived, wrote in Psalm 39, verse 1, I said, I will guard my ways, that I may not sin with my tongue. I will guard my mouth as with a muzzle. A muzzle. David, a king, a warrior, a poet, compared his own discipline to a muzzle on an animal, because he understood that the tongue has no loyalty. It does not serve you. It serves impulse, and impulse after 60 will cost you everything you spent a lifetime building. So now you know the 7, the sympathetic relative, the old friend who reappears, the helpful neighbor, the emotional child, the social media audience, the professional confidant, and you yourself. 7 gates, 7 vulnerabilities, 7 doors that must be locked with discipline, with law and with the fear of God, not the fear that paralyzes, but the fear that protects, the reverent awareness that your words have weight, and that weight has consequences. But I am not going to leave you with just knowledge. Knowledge without practice is dead. And in the Jewish ethical tradition, in the system called Musar, which is the discipline of refining the soul through daily action, knowledge must become habit, and habit must become character. So I am going to give you a practice. It is called the 7 gates of the tongue. It is based on the Musar tradition and on the 7 attributes of the soul that the sages taught correspond to the 7 days of the week. 1 gate per day, 1 discipline per day, 7 days to build a wall around your life that no predator can breach. Day 1, the gate of awareness. On this day, before you leave your house, you place your hand over your mouth for 10 seconds and you say these words in silence. Today my words belong to God, not to the world. That is all. You carry that intention through the entire day. Every conversation, every phone call, every message. Before you respond, you ask yourself, does this person need to know what I am about to say? If the answer is no, you close the gate. You say nothing. Day 2, the gate of restraint. On this day, you write on a small piece of paper the one thing you are most tempted to share. Your savings, your health diagnosis, your family conflict, your plans. You write it down, you fold the paper, and you tear it into pieces and throw it away. This is a physical act of surrender. You are telling your soul, this information will not leave my hands today. It dies here. Day 3, the gate of gratitude. On this day, you light a candle in your home, any candle, and you sit in front of it for 5 minutes. You do not speak. You do not pray out loud. You simply sit and thank God in your mind for what he has given you. The silence of gratitude replaces the noise of pride. When you are full of quiet thankfulness, the need to announce your blessings to others disappears. Day 4, the gate of discernment. On this day, you review every person you spoke with in the past week. You ask yourself, did I give anyone information they did not need? Did I reveal something about my finances, my health, my family? If the answer is yes, you write that person's name on a piece of paper and you pray, God, seal what I have spoken. Let it bear no fruit in the wrong hands. This is a practice of spiritual repair. Day 5, the gate of boundaries. On this day, you practice saying no. One real no to one real request. Someone asks you for details about your life, you decline with grace. Someone asks for money, you say, I will pray about it. Someone invites you to share more than you should, you change the subject. 1 no per day builds a muscle that will protect you for years. Day 6, the gate of covenant. On this day you stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes and say out loud, I make a covenant with my mouth. What God has given me, I will guard. What God has blessed me with, I will not expose. My tongue is under His authority. Say it once. Say it with conviction, and walk away. That mirror is your witness. Day 7. The Gate of Rest. On this day, you speak as little as possible. Not in anger, not in punishment. In rest. You let your tongue rest the way the body rests on the Sabbath. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you comment. You let silence be your offering to God. And at the end of the day, you close your eyes and you say, the cycle is complete. My gates are sealed. 7 days, 7 gates. You repeat this cycle 3 times on 21 days, and something will change inside you that no amount of advice could produce. Your instincts will shift. Your reflexes will change. Where you once felt the urge to share, you will feel the urge to protect. Where you once craved validation, you will crave peace. That is the transformation. Not dramatic, not loud, silent, like everything that truly matters. And now, I want to keep my promise. I told you to stay until the end because I needed to tell you the story of Ignacio. And this story is the proof that everything I have taught you today is not theory. It is life. Ignacio was 70 years old, a retired electrician from Montevideo, Uruguay. He had worked his entire life in construction, wiring buildings, climbing scaffolds, crawling through walls. When he retired, he received a severance of 170,000 Uruguayan pesos and a small pension. It was not wealth, but it was enough. His family expected him to talk about it. His sister asked, his brother asked, his adult children asked, his neighbor asked. But Ignacio had learned. He had been listening to teachings like this one, and he made a decision that changed everything. He said nothing. To anyone. When they asked how retirement was treating him, he said, God is good. I wake up every morning and that is enough. When his son asked if he could borrow money for a car, Ignacio said, let me pray about it for 7 days. After 7 days, he said, Son, I love you, but God has told me to keep what He gave me under His protection right now. I trust that He will provide for you through another door. His son was angry. His sister called him selfish. His neighbor stopped visiting. And Ignacio felt alone. For 3 months he felt the weight of his silence. He wondered if he had made a mistake. He wondered if God had truly asked this of him, or if he was simply being a stubborn old man. And then something happened that Ignacio could not have predicted. A former client from his working days, a man whose house Ignacio had wired 15 years earlier, called him. This man had built a small apartment building and needed a reliable property manager, someone honest, someone quiet, someone who did not gossip, who did not boast, who could be trusted with keys and accounts and tenant information. He had remembered Ignacio precisely because Ignacio was the kind of man who never talked about himself. He offered Ignacio the job, part-time, light work, with a salary that nearly doubled his pension. Ignacio wept when he told me this. He said, Rabbi, my silence cost me my sister's approval, my son's affection, and my neighbor's company. But it earned me God's provision. And God's provision came through a door I did not even know existed. That is the promise. Not that silence is comfortable, it is not. Not that silence is easy, it is the hardest discipline you will ever practice. But silence, when it is rooted in obedience to God's law, becomes a magnet for blessing. The world rewards those who shout. God rewards those who guard. So here is what I am asking of you right now. If this teaching has reached your heart, if you feel in your spirit that this was not an accident, that God brought you here today for a reason, then I need you to do something. In the comments below, write the word I guard. 2 words. That is your covenant. That is your declaration before God and before this community that you have decided to seal your gates. Write it now. And if there is someone in your life who needs prayer, someone who is being exploited, someone who is vulnerable, someone whose tongue has already caused damage and needs healing, write the word prayer and their name right below. I read every single comment, and I pray over every single name. That is not a promise I make lightly. That is a sacred obligation I accept before God. And if this channel is helping you, if this wisdom is feeding something in your soul that has been hungry for a long time, subscribe right now and activate the notification bell, because I am not finished with you. In my next teaching, I am going to reveal the 3 prayers from the book of Psalms that the ancient sages used specifically to seal the tongue, prayers so precise and so powerful that they were whispered by rabbis in the most dangerous moments of Jewish history to protect their communities from betrayal. You do not want to miss that teaching. Subscribe now so it finds you. And remember this, my friend, you did not come to this video by accident. You came because your soul recognized what it needed. You need protection, not from the world, from your own open mouth. And now you have the tools. 7 types, 7 gates, 1 decision. The decision is yours, but the law is God's. And God does not negotiate with those who disobey. He blesses those who guard. He provides for those who seal. He honors those who choose silence when silence is the hardest thing to choose. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob place a seal upon your lips. May he turn your silence into a fortress. May he reward your discipline with provision you did not expect, from doors you did not know existed. And may every word you choose not to speak become a brick in the wall that protects your family, your peace, and your legacy. Shalom, my friend. Until next time.